Good evening, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host, Ahmad Nawaz. Tonight, we're going to be starting off with cricket and discussing the National T20 Cup that is underway now in Lahore. Its second leg has moved to Gaddafi Stadium in Lahore, where the first action was Central Punjab up against the team of Sindh. Sindh was sent into bat. They had a couple of problems. Of course, Central Punjab decided to rest Babar Azam. That was a good sign, and they opted Hassan Ali to lead the side. And I really like that for the fact that we need to preserve the players who are going to be our key campaigners in the T20 World Cup. Balochistan was scheduled to face Northern tonight, and it's very important to realize the fact that few players for Balochistan have tested positive for COVID-19. So their match now, after a press release of the Pakistan Cricket Board, has now been postponed. It has been rescheduled, and Northern tonight will be in action, but they will be facing Southern Punjab in that match now, because obviously there are concerns. Rest of the Balochistan squad is asymptomatic and has tested negative, but still security concerns are there regarding COVID-19, and they need to be addressed, because it's going to be now a very difficult task for the management. So we've got to discuss that, and we'll be discussing them in detail. The 4 players have been placed in a 10-day quarantine. That is the latest from the PCB. So we'll be discussing the match between Sindh and Central Punjab in detail. But after that, in the second topic, we will be moving on to Michael Holding, who has showed Western arrogance in abandoning. That's what he said, that it's Western arrogance. He said ECB statement doesn't set up with him. He said ECB would never do this to India because they're powerful, and he said that Pakistan has honored what ECB wanted them to honor, but when it came to the ECB, they did not honor their commitments. He's been very strong, very straightforward and very aggressive in this statement, and I think that's very important to see this here, that on such a critical phase, it's very important to discuss that the fact is, certain things need to be highlighted. We've always talked about the fact that there are double standards when it comes to the ICC and various cricket boards all around the world, and certain things need to be put into perspective. So we'll be discussing all about this in tonight's show. Starting off with the National T20, in studios we've been joined by sports expert, regular feature of Sports Extra. Always great to have him on the show, Ali Mehdi. Assalamu alaikum, Ali, how are you?
Walaikum salam, Ahmad. Good
to have you on the show. We've also been joined by cricket commentator, cricket expert, and a very dear friend and a brother, Ali Younis. Ali, assalamu alaikum, welcome to Sports Extra.
Thank you very much, Ahmad. Great to be here with you on the show again.
Definitely. Now continuing the discussion, as we've just told you that it's big news now that Balochistan players tested positive, and I've been talking about this, that it's not easy. Even in the times of a bubble, we look towards a new normal. You can't just expect things to always remain the same that you want them to. They will be changing, and things will be difficult. So Ali Mehdi, we've got to realize the fact that even though there's a bubble, there's proper SOPs in place, COVID is something that will always be there.
Look, COVID is here to stay. I mean, we've had this for the past 1.5 years, a bit 18 months now. And, we've had these bubble protocols. We've actually had to live in this pandemic for the past 18 months now. And we've all gotten used to it, no matter what sort of quarantining and then also SOPs the players are doing. It's just one of those things that, which can affect anybody. And it's because of that that we've seen, international tours being affected, domestic tournaments being affected too. So it's just one of those things that unfortunately, these Balochistan players have been affected, and we can only wish them well and hopefully hope that they get through quarantine fairly quickly.
Very important. Ali Younis, your thoughts now, because it has moved to your home city. Gaddafi Stadium was always going to be exciting, but certainly this is something that the players have to live with now. They're already under the stress of the bubble. Certain quarantine measures are also in place, but travel, or nonetheless, this could happen anytime.
But yes, definitely. I think we should get used to it now. This, as Ali Mehdi just said, it is here to stay. So we must get used to it as early as possible. These things will happen because once we are organizing such a huge tournament with so many players, so many sports staff, so many broadcasting people coming from various areas of Pakistan and even internationally. So these things are bound to happen. So we should be mentally prepared for it. And luckily for us that there is another tournament going on, that is second grade tournament also going on 3 days, and we can always pick players from there and play and continue our tournament. So it's a good sign that tournament will continue. But I'm a little worried about the current players who are supposed to go to World Cup. I think it would have been better off that they should have been rested from here on. Once you found out that there are players who are COVID positive, so it's very important to protect these players who are going to go to the World Cup and play there. So, I think that's where we've been mismanaged a little. So it's better that if you can just give them a rest till the World Cup and go on with the grade 2 players.
I think that's a very important
Right.
point. You also agree, because our primary goal right now is the World Cup and the team's supposed to travel in a week's time.
No, I think Ali Younis has put a very good point over here that, look, we are just 1 week away from our international team actually departing for the T20 World Cup, and you want them to be in a safe space right now, safe haven. You want them to be well protected, and last thing you want is for them to get to be COVID positive. That's the last thing you want. So you should need to protect them right now. If they don't have to play, then don't play them. Play it. Try some new boys too. So I think that this is something which has been mismanaged too, and I think the PCB and the upper authorities have to think about this very carefully, because last thing you want is your superstars. You want like a Babar Azam, like a Shaheen Shah Afridi, or other great big players for that matter, to get COVID right now. So you need to actually protect them right now, and if they don't have to play, so be it. You want them to be fully fit and fully mentally ready for that World Cup.
Mentally ready indeed as well. That would be the case, and I think it's very important that at this moment that we discuss the fact that our World Cup is our prime responsibility. We've always talked about that. It's just now a couple of days. Pakistan take on, in their all important encounter, India on the 24th, and it's very important that we set things straight. So, Ali Mehdi, if we talk about the tournament in general, then we've got to accept the fact that this is the most hyped up national T20 that we've had so far.
I think this is probably the most hyped up national T20 in years. I mean, this is the first time that we have one primary goal, and this is the first national T20 which is taking place right before a World T20. Look, we haven't had a World T20 since early 2016. 5.5 years later, we're having a World T20 too. So this is a very hyped up one, because this is the sort of tournament your next match is in about 18 days against the big ones, against India. So whatever the players, how they were performing right now, they are actually going to carry that momentum, that sort of form back into that World Cup. So you want to well protect them too, and then at the same time, there's so much hype, there's so much emphasis on this tournament, because you want your big players, you want all your players, the squad players, to perform well right now, so that they can be well geared and well motivated towards that tournament. So I think there's a lot of emphasis and there's a lot of viewership for this national T20.
Definitely, that is the case. And talking about the match between Central Punjab and Sindh, Central Punjab managing to clinch this match by 8 wickets. They have done, I think, brilliantly to restrict Sindh to just about 120 odd runs. And the fact was that Sarfaraz Ahmad once again came like a saviour for Sindh, played a very important knock of a half century, made sure that Sindh were able to reach that target, because they were 5 down very early on. He was supported by Anwar Ali at the same time as well. When we talk about Central Punjab chasing this target down, they didn't have Babar Azam, but it was Hussain Talat scoring 68 not out, and Shoaib Malik once again with a very crucial 40 not out. I think all the odds right now, Ali Younis, are in favour of Shoaib Malik, because his performances are coming at a very, very important time. And whether people like it or not, you need a guy like this in your World Cup squad.
Yes, most definitely, Ahmad. I think odds doesn't matter anymore. What matters is what Mohammad Wasim thinks at the moment. And I don't think so. He's got Shoaib Malik in his plan for a long time, not since the time at least he has come into power. But yes, as you said, Shoaib Malik is the need of the time. I think you need somebody like him to play at number 4, 5 or 6. He's so flexible that you can play him at any number. You can even make him open the inning. You can make him play at number 3, 4, 5 anywhere. I mean, he's played all over the world. He's amongst the players who are needed at international level, at different leagues. But very strangely, in Pakistan, he's not needed when you are even struggling at the middle order. Still, you're not playing him is beyond my thoughts. That why is it happening to Shoaib Malik? What are the reasons? Certainly, performance cannot be the reason. Certainly, fitness cannot be the reason. I don't think so. If you ask me, I cannot think of any reason why not to include Shoaib Malik in the World Cup squad when you are already struggling at that number.
But like you say, Ali Younis, that he's not in Mohammad Wasim's plans, but he's playing for Central Punjab, where Babar is captaining the side. If Babar asks for a change, how do you think that will go ahead?
I don't think so. Look, this is something Babar has to learn, because once you stand by players who are going to play for you, then you get respect. Then you earn respect from players. But once you don't stand by the players and go with the flow that, okay, I'm fine with it, if please don't say anything to my captaincy and continue with captaincy, then you won't get that respect that Imran Khan used to have. Imran Khan used to have respect because he used to stand by what he believed in and stand by the people he thought will perform for him. That's not happening here. I think that is some weakness for Babar's captaincy. He should learn from it, because at the end of the day, it's going to be the respect of the players that's going to win him the tournaments or the big matches.
Ali, Mehdi, you agree that you've got to demand respect, you've got to command that side, because in the past, I understand the situation is different, but the players' unity has been displayed. If we go a little back when there was an issue of wages in the Australian cricket team, the women's team were not being paid equally, so the men refused a contract. Once again, when it came to club cricketers, men's again refused. So there was a sort of unity. So for a captain, Babar can be very straightforward that this is my squad, this is who I want to take for the World Cup. If I can be given this, okay, fine. Otherwise, then it's up to you.
Look, I think there's going to be a magnifying glass over Babar's leadership over here.
Because last 4 days now.
It's the last 4 days. Look, it's the last, we're literally, just before to depart. If Babar doesn't do it right now, then, the problem is over the next 1 month, we are going to be castigating Babar. We are going to be putting the magnifying glass. Look, we are going to be seeing a lot of stuff about him as analysts over here, as critiques over here, as pundits. We need, if Babar really believes in this team, so be it, whatever has been selected by Mohammad Wasim. But if he doesn't, he should put his foot down. Then he should get, experienced campaigners like the likes of Shoaib Malik and etc, to be in that squad. Because look, Ahmad, I think what's very important right now is this is the most important World Cup we are going into for many sort of
in
reasons.
The UAE?
In the UAE, and for, off-field reasons too. And for that matter, you need your best squad. And you're talking about the likes of Shoaib Malik, and then there are other players too, which I'd not like to mention too. Babar needs to show that respect, that leadership skills. Look, you're going to the UAE, you're going to play very difficult matches. The first match is against India and New Zealand too. And we are playing against India at Dubai, and then we are playing on a very difficult pitch in Sharjah where the ball is turning, and we are seeing another league happening right now. And what's happening over there, very low scores. You need experienced personnel over there. You need people who are performing well right now.
And we know batting is our main concern.
And batting is our main concern. If you don't take the likes of Shoaib Malik for that matter, and other like the likes of Fakhr too, then I really, really worry for this World Cup. So if really Babar believes in this team, we need to back him 120%.
Yeah.
But if not, then he should stand his ground, and he should say that I want these players to join the team, and I want the other players to be replaced so I can get my best team to play against the big guns like New Zealand and India.
Even if we don't talk about a change, Ali Younis, would you also believe that the way Sarfaraz is performing, that experience is what we would have needed, even if he was not our first pick for being the wicketkeeper batsman in the team? Even as a plan B, at least he deserved to be with the side.
Definitely. I think I believe in, if you got a better performer other than Sarfaraz, then yes, why not? If you got a better player than Shoaib Malik, then yes, why not? But if you're struggling to find better performers, better than these what you call old, but I don't think so. They're old. I think they're very fit. Sarfaraz has done a lot on his fitness. Shoaib Malik is always fit. So if you don't have a better option other than these, then why not? What is stopping you to send the best 11 available? I think it's highly personal. You've got to come out of those personal egos and think for the country. What is best for the country? And Sarfaraz also, is way better than Khushdil. If I talk about Asif Ali also, and Azam Khan, they've got a good future. But at the moment, I'm sorry, Shoaib Malik and Sarfaraz are way better than these three that have been picked in the middle order.
That's very important. Our order is still haywire right now. We're still stuck in the debate of whether Babar should open or come at number 3. I still believe Babar and Rizwan are key to playing the entire of, at least 10, 12 overs to give Pakistan a chance. But then my question comes down to, even if they occupy 10 to 12 overs, put a good platform, are we capable of having a charge in the last 5-6 overs or not?
Look, if you want a charge in the last 5-6 overs, you need either pitch hitters and consistent pitch hitters. If Pakistan don't have consistent pitch hitters over there, you need experienced personnel, the likes of Shoaib Malik, like we mentioned, the likes of Hafiz, like the likes of Sarfaraz, because they have done it in the past. They have represented it in World Cups and on the international stage. Do you genuinely think, and I think Ali Bhai would agree with me, the likes of Azam Khan, no disrespect to them, they are the ones for the future, the likes of Azam Khan, Asif Ali, Iftikhar for that matter, Khushdil. Do you think in those pressure cooker situations against the likes of India, New Zealand, against Afghanistan too. Let's not forget Afghanistan is also a dark horse for this World Cup. You're playing them in a very difficult wicket of Sharjah. You think they'll be able to actually be able to charge, in that lower order? It's going to be very difficult. So that's why I think we need to put egos aside. We need to select our best squad. If it's possible, then make these changes right now, because we don't want us to have a difficult World Cup. We don't want to go through this stress.
But what's plan B? Let's say if the board is not changing anything, then what we do? Then there's no other
There's
option.
no option. Then we need to back our boys. We have to back them. We need to motivate. Look, it must be very difficult for these players who've been selected too. There's a huge burden on them. The likes of Azam Khan, Khushdil Shah too, because they need to perform. But if they're not going to change the team, then we need to back our boys. We need to tell them that, okay, fine, you've been selected. We fully back you as a nation too. We want you to perform extremely well. And even if you haven't done well in the domestic, we fully believe you. You're selected there for your merit, for the talent you have. And let's hope for the best. But at this moment of time, if there's any small possibility that you can make these changes, do it, so that we can have a respectable and we can actually go in with full confidence into that World Cup.
Ali, Younis, same question. If things don't change as it is expected, that we might not see any changes,
then what can we do, Ahmad? Just pray for them to perform to their potential. Potential is there, no doubt. I strongly believe if Khushdil or Azam Khan or Asif Ali have reached to that level, the potential must be there. But you've got to realize that this is a big tournament and you're playing against two of the big nations of cricket, India and New Zealand. And New Zealand, for some odd reason, we've got same sort of drift now like we have against India. So these are two big matches. Against Afghanistan also, it's going to be a big match. So big matches create pressure. And we've seen this in recent past that these three, they don't possess that quality of playing well under pressure. And pressure will be there on these matches. So you got to take your chances with your experienced men. And not that Shoaib Malik cannot hit big hits. We saw the other day in Rawalpindi, he scored 85 odd runs and he hit some huge sixes too. So I don't think so. Labeling him that he cannot hit big is wrong. He can hit big whenever needed. He's a situational player. He's got game awareness. I think only by putting Shoaib Malik, if not Sherazi, even only putting Shoaib Malik will help you a lot in creating that balance of the team. So it's very important to have somebody like him at number 4 or 5, where he can take along and finish the inning. Because at the moment, I think although we can get a good start, but the finishing point, the finishes, we don't have those.
Well, let me bowl a bouncer at you right now with a very important thing that I'm going to come at you with. Mohammad Wasim on a private television channel, when he was asked about the prospect of Shoaib Malik, he said that I personally talked to Shoaib Malik. He said that he wants to play at number 3 or up the order. That's what he said, that Shoaib wants to play up the order. We need him down the order, so it didn't make sense of picking him. So do you buy that argument?
I don't know, but if he's saying it on a national television, then it might have happened. But you got to ask Shoaib Malik about it, because we all are rooting for him. We are all debating about him. But you got to ask him also that if you want to play or not. If he doesn't play, that's very sad, because he should, and he's performing well at that number. And playing up the order, I don't think so. In pitches in Dubai, in UAE, will have it's going to be the lower order scoring more of the runs. That 5, 6, or 7 number, they are the crucial numbers in UAE if you look at the pitches there. And talking about Mohammad Wasim, I think they should have convinced him. If they're not able to convince Babar to come down to the number, at least convince one of it. You are a chief selector. Come on, you got to convince your people that this is what we think and you should play there.
That's one thing is that Ali Mehdi, there has been silence from Shoaib Malik. He's not come out with any statement. He's let his bat do the talking. So that's a professional.
Look, I think Shoaib Malik is an extremely professional human being, extremely professional cricketer, and I don't think we're going to have anything. There are other cricketers too, when this sort of situation happens, they actually come on international television, they have a go at the media, have a go at the selection, at the, the management. But Shoaib Malik is the sort of person, he sticks to the task. He actually, if he's not been selected, he'd let his bat do the talking. That's why I think he's a true professional, and we need that sort of experience, Ahmad. We need that sort of experience when you come against the likes of the big nations like the Indias, the New Zealands, the Afghanistans, even Bangladesh might even come into
Ireland might come into
Ireland too. So it's going to be a group of death. I think it's going to be harder than the other group for that matter. So
and considering that 6 teams too have to qualify.
6 have to qualify, and not another thing, Ahmad. We are going to be playing 2 matches in Sharjah. I just noticed that too, and Sharjah is a very difficult wicket wicket to play on, because it's an up and down wicket. It turns, you don't know whether the balls,
it's going to be supporting Afghanistan.
And another thing is that India is not playing on those wickets, so it's suitable for them. Abu Dhabi and Dubai are relatively easy to bat on, but not in Sharjah. We play against New Zealand and we play against Afghanistan, and we need our best players to actually play in
it's a bit tricky, but let's just take the final thoughts on this one. Ali, Younis, do you believe there will be any changes? And if there are, who do you see likely being the change? Otherwise, is it a no?
I think it's a no. If you ask me personally, looking at the situation at the moment, whatever is going on, unless and until if there is a forced change, which can only be the probability of changes at the moment. But I don't see any changes because this is a new board, new management. They would want to stick to their decisions and stick by it, and let's see what happens. And rightly so. I think now is not the time. They should have done it before, but now is not the time. Now let's stick to these guys and give them confidence. We're going to the World Cup and back them up. That's all I can say for now.
Agreed. I would also believe that if I would put Nawaz at 4. He's batting well, so I might just see him up the order. Your thoughts? Any changes? Yes or no?
I would go for changes. It
Who
doesn't
you
matter.
see?
I would want Shoaib Malik to come from Azam Khan. I want Shoaib Malik over there. I think he's very important. You need that sort of experience. I'm not too sure about Sarfraz.
But then no backup wicketkeeper.
Yeah, you want a backup wicketkeeper, but in an ideal world too. But then at the same time, we have to go with Rizwan, and let's hope for the best over there too. You want Sarfraz, but if there was one change, it has to be Shoaib Malik, because on these wickets, only Shoaib Malik is the one who can actually help steady that middle order.
Definitely. On that note, we'll just go towards a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing the saga of Michael Holding and his aggressive statements against the ECB. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Sports Extra. With me, Ahmad Nawaz. I'm in conversation with the two Alis, Ali Mehdi and Ali Younis. Time now to talk about Michael Holding and what he's said about the ECB in this report. Let's go take a look and then come back.
Baseman Michael Holding gave a critical response to England and Wales Cricket Board's decision to withdraw its players from playing white ball games in Pakistan, blaming increasing concerns about travelling in the region and pressures of bubble environments. Michael Holding said that England's decision to cancel its short tours to Pakistan amounted to Western arrogance. Holding slammed England cricket's governing body, saying their statement has no substance to it. On receiving the Cricket Writers' Club Peter Smith Award, he was quoted saying that the England and Wales Cricket Board statement does not wash with him. Holding added that nobody wants to come forward and face up to anything because they know what they did was wrong. The former West Indies pacer also suggested that England and Wales Cricket Board's decision exhibited Western arrogance and compared it to the board's action during the Black Lives Matter movement. The recently retired broadcaster also pointed out England and Wales Cricket Board's hypocrisy in taking the decision and claimed they would have not done the same to a country like India because they are rich and powerful. Holding mentioned that Pakistan went to England before vaccines were available for 6 or 7 weeks, and they stayed, played their cricket, and they honoured what England wanted them to honour to save England.
Right, all you need to know about the saga that Michael Holding has once again raised. And Ali Mehdi, your thoughts on this? We knew that it was a cold-hearted betrayal, and now it's being certified.
And look, if Michael Holding is actually being very outspoken about it, then you know it is a serious matter too. I mean, you have to give a lot of credit to him and other journalists too, like the likes of Michael Atherton, for that matter, who actually outspoke about it. But you could see yesterday that Michael Holding is the sort of cricket commentator, journalist, and legend for that matter, broadcaster who speaks his heart out. And now that he's recently retired from Sky Sports over there, he actually now he has the freedom to talk about whatever he wants to. And he said yesterday yesterday that it doesn't wash with him, that he genuinely believes that there's no substance behind it and that there's some sort of vendetta against Pakistan. Reason being is because there is no substance. There is no reason why England didn't travel to Pakistan. I mean, you look at whatever he said that, and he goes back in history. He said that even last year when this Black Lives Matter app actually happened to, he's been saying it since day one that not enough has been being done against racism. And for that matter too, he's being outspoken about the fact that, Pakistan did so much for English cricket. They went in the height of COVID, over there, played 3 test matches, 3 T20s over there, did a return tour this year. They actually saved English cricket from the loss of millions of pounds. And then you see this year what happened is that, England couldn't return the favor and gave no substantial argument for that matter. So, this is the thing about Michael Holding.
In fact, they kept on changing their statements. First they said it was the players, then they said it was the board, then they couldn't come up with anything.
Look, it was very badly managed. As a PR disaster for the ECB too. Because first of all, the chief executive spoke, then the chairman didn't spoke, and then when everybody had a go, and then when even the government actually got involved, then the ECB chairman Ian Watmer was forced to actually make, he actually made some statements too that he's actually very sorry, but at the same time he didn't give a reason for that. He didn't say it was player welfare or anything. So it just shows that the hypocrisy towards Pakistan and towards cricket boards who are of smaller stature.
Ali Younis, your thoughts on this, as Michael Holding also said that England could never do that to India, and we realize the power that India occupies in the world of cricket due to their financial structure is already too much.
I think he said it. That's the truth, and you cannot deny it that it is happening. It has happened to us. It happened to South Africa when England cancelled their tour to South Africa too. So they can do it to any nation which is not that beneficial business-wise. So they can do it. They think they can do it. But I like one line written in that Michael Holding statement that he said that it does not excite me anymore. The cricket does not excite me. I'm not going to miss cricket. And that's rightly so. And because of these little things that these powerful nations are doing to nations like us, Sri Lanka, maybe South Africa, who are not producing much business for the game. It's very unfortunate. It shouldn't have happened. People who are managing it, they should be held responsible at ICC. How come it's not happening? How come these 2 or 3 teams are so dominate the world that they can do anything? They can take any decision whenever they want without any logic given. So there has to be some answer to all these things. You cannot just put everything to business. You got to leave sport as sport. You got to play sport as sport. You cannot mix it with business. But at the moment, it is happening that it is being mixed with the business. But one thing I really liked this time was that our stance on it. We've taken these two. We've taken them head on. I think the approach from Ramiz Bhai was spot on. It was aggressive. It was not forgiving, like it has always been for Pakistan, that you could cancel the tour and we won't say anything. We'll be quiet and wait for the next tour or wait for your invitation so that we can come to your country and play. It's not going to happen anymore. So that's where Ramiz Bhai has got it right. That he's taken them hard on that if you're not going to play it, we're going to be loud, we're going to be clear about it, that our country is a safe country for any event that can happen here. So there is no point of you cancelling a tour because of any threat without even informing it. So there is no clue about it. Not happening anymore.
Mehdi, what's the way forward here? Because not just particularly about Pakistan. Let's just keep Pakistan aside right now. Teams around the world or cricket fans look up to England Cricket Board, look up to the Australian Cricket Board, like New Zealand team, they look up to these teams as test playing nations, teams of higher quality. And like I said, if you remove Pakistan from the equation, it might not make a difference to the world of cricket, but certainly would make a difference when it comes to the billions of fans that a Pakistani team has, the excitement that they bring to the ICC tournaments and everywhere around the world. So, it's basically at the end of the day a money-oriented business. But how disappointed are people, even because we know sane voices have come from England itself, senior journalists, former players, be it men's or women's side all around the world, Michael Holding as a senior broadcaster, cricketer, so sane voices have come from all over the world that have criticized this approach by New Zealand and England at the same time.
Well, it shows a double standard and the hypocrisy by this Western faction, as Chairman PCB Ramiz Raja actually put it. It is what it is. I mean, you have this Western bloc, and which includes India too, for that matter, who are against, likes of Pakistan, the PCB, Cricket South Africa, Cricket Sri Lanka. They don't want cricket to thrive. They want the money to be circulated amongst themselves. We actually have to raise our voices, and it's very disappointing because look, cricket is a global game. It's a family. It's a game for all these nations to play with each other. Unfortunately, because of these unforeseen circumstances, you don't see that as sort of competitive environment. You don't see that sort of cricket. So it's very disappointing too. But it's a PR disaster, like I said, for them too. For England, I mean, how much have England been? They've gotten so much bad reviews. The ECB, for that matter, the government has spoken against them. Broadcasters over there. The main cricket broadcasters, Sky Sports, and then other people around the world have spoken against them too. So the thing is that, and they did it also. And that's not only to us. They've done it to South Africa too, when they decided that just because of COVID, they decided to leave South Africa,
abandoning their own last Test match as well.
Yeah, exactly. And then and then let's not forget, people don't raise this word. They very quietly abandoned that last Test match against India when there was not enough basis for that matter. So it shows that there's a very tightly knit this bond between the big three. And for example, you could also put New Zealand into that mix as to what happened right now. Still premature for that. But you have to, unless they don't open up to these smaller boards like the PCB, like the Sri Lankan Cricket Board, Cricket South Africa, then if that's the case too, then these smaller boards are not going to survive. They're not going to thrive too. So it's important that the smaller boards actually they play cricket amongst each other. And when the big boards, they see that they're not gaining anything by this sort of hypocrisy. Hopefully that will open doors between all.
Definitely. Ali Younis, your final thoughts. I understand the big three is there, even if the top four you want to call it, with New Zealand also included there. But there are still 7 to 8 other Test playing nations who are part of the ICC. And if Pakistan is somewhat able to make another block, then cricket would suffer around the world.
To create a block, it's a big thing. You've got to have enough business. You've got to have enough resources that you can accommodate all those countries. I mean, if those 3 or 4 countries don't play with us, they can survive. But if we don't play with them, it's going to be very difficult for these 6 or 7 countries to survive, because it is an expensive game. It's not like any other game where it needs a lot of marketing also. So I don't think so. If anyone can survive, it has to come together with them also. If you cannot write them off, it's fine. You can have your block, you can have your word, you can have your say, but isolating yourself from there won't help. You need to come up with a better strategy. You need to come up with a better dialogue. Then how can we convince those nations to stop dominating this much and and take everyone together?
Definitely. Ali Younis, thank you so much for joining us on Sports Extra. Right, Ali Mehdi, your final thoughts on this entire saga now. We understand all the its and bits, the criticism, everything is going to be there now. How do you see the approach from the PCB going forward? Yesterday, the chairman PCB also went to Karachi to muscle up financial support. So things are looking a bit aggressive.
Yeah, he went to the stock exchange actually yesterday too. I think it's a very good aggressive stance by the PCB chairman Ramiz Raja. And what he needs to do is that he actually has to strengthen his terms with the smaller boards too. But I do think that you cannot cut off your ties with the likes of England, Australia. We have to survive for that matter. Whilst there was hypocrisy, there was double standards shown towards us. It will take time to mend these terms. But I think the best way go forward is to actually not have an aggressive, but have a diplomatic sort of stance. But the best thing is to do the talk on field and go and win that World T20 Cup.
Definitely. Ali Mehdi, thank you so much for joining us. That's all we have time for Sports Extra. Time now for a segment that is the News in Brief. And in the News in Brief, we know that the 53rd World Military Shooting Championship is underway at Lahore Garrison Shooting Gallery. Pakistan's Junaid Ali has won the men's trap qualifiers. Sri Lanka's Lance Corporal Devmani has been leading the women's category. Junaid Ali for Pakistan scored 65 points to secure the top position. And this is once again Pakistan hosting a mega level event of international standards. And that wraps it up from me and the entire team. Until our next show, it's goodbye for now.